Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zane here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder. Of course, I am pre-recording this because at this time I'm actually going to be in St. Louis Regionals. By the time you're watching this, it's actually probably almost done with day 1. And hopefully you're actually tuning in to the live stream at twitch.tv/Pokemon. So go watch that, and then come back and watch this video. But we're going to jump into it. If you watched yesterday's episode, we had 2 really rough losses. In the first game, Will-O-Wisp happened and missed every time. In the second game, my opponent caught me off guard with a surprise combination in the first couple of turns, and then in the end I almost was able to bring it back, but misplayed a bit in the end to really seal up the deal. So demoralizing, but our first opponent is going to be Saba with the rating of 1726 from the US. So yeah, I'll let you guys know how I did at St. Louis Regionals on the video once this goes live. Of course, follow me at Twitter for live updates. But yeah, it's kind of weird to be pre-recording these things, but hopefully I'll be in the top cut at this point. If not, you know, it'll be fun. I'll be providing coverage regardless. But Saba here's got a team of Heatran, Thundurus, Terrakion, Gyarados, Gengar, and Whimsicott. So, very interesting team because we see the Terracotta combo. Gengar is actually a potential Mega Evolution, though Gyarados could be as well. Thundurus T here, which is also interesting, could potentially be Choice Scarf. So, let's see what I want to really lead with. Venusaur is really good against my opponent's team. I think I'm actually going to start off with Venusaur as the lead because it threatens Terrakion and Whimsicott immediately. I'm going to pair that up with Gengar. In the back, I am going to want Suicune, which actually deals with Heatran, Terrakion, Gyarados, and Gengar pretty well. And for the last one, I'm probably going to want something that can check the Thundurus, so I'm going to go with Terrakion. I'm going to lock in here. So yeah, yesterday's episode was pretty rough, so hopefully we are able to come back in today's. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. A lot of the times, you know, it's easy to get demoralized when you make the wrong calls on a 50-50. And, you know, I do have to apologize to you guys. It definitely is still difficult for me to play perfectly while commentating at the same time. So sometimes I don't think through my moves clearly. Sometimes I rush a bit, and it leads to poorer plays on my end. So I'm still learning to get better at that. You know, this is actually around 2-month anniversary of Road to Rank, which is kind of crazy, but I'm still learning about the games as we go along, still learning about commentating while playing, and I'm just doing my best job to provide, you know, quality content, but sometimes I don't play the best when I, you know, play Road to Rank or on stream. Hopefully I'll be able to do a better job at St. Louis as I'm currently competing in it, but we'll see. So we're gonna get this battle kicked off as we try to get back into the 1850s after a pretty rough losing streak in yesterday's episode. But let's see. So, Heatran and Whimsicott coming out from my opponent here. Good leads against my Venusaur and Gengar, which neither can really take Heat Waves very well. Although Heatran, of course, can just Mega Evolve and go for, has the Thick Fat ability. I'm actually gonna Leech Seed Heatran and go for the, no, I should play safer. Whimsicott could go for a Tailwind here. There are a bunch of plays my opponent can go here for. Heatran can Protect, and Whimsicott could Tailwind. Heatran could Substitute right away, which also would make some sense. I think I'm actually gonna I could pull out a double switch here, but then the thing is, if my opponent sets up a Tailwind, I'm in some trouble. I think what I'm gonna do is Mega Evolve, Sludge Bomb the... Nah, I want to Leech Seed Heatran. I don't think the Heatran is going to Protect here, so I'm gonna Taunt and Leech Seed it. And you know what? If it protects and Whimsicott goes for a Tailwind, that's fine. Then I could just switch out my Gengar the following turn into Suicune, Protect with Venusaur, and go from there. So I could actually probably set up a Tailwind of my own. Whimsicott does go for the Tailwind, but Heatran doesn't go for the Protect, which is good. And the question here is whether I went for the Heat Wave for the Substitute. But I'm going to Taunt it to prevent it from getting a potential Substitute up. I'm expecting Heat Wave, but let's see. As Venusaur also hits its Leech Seed, and it shows that it outspeeds Heatran, which might be valuable if I can get my own Tailwind up with Suicune. And I do predict the Substitute correctly, which is fantastic for me here. So, that's really good. What I'm going to do here is, let's see. So my opponent does not have good answers to this Venusaur, bar the Heatran, so I'm going to have to want to watch out. I'm honestly tempted to switch Gengar into my own Suicune right now, so I can set up a Tailwind of my own, and I think this is the play I'm going to go for. I don't want my Gengar taking too much damage right now. The main thing is Whimsicott here is probably going to actually switch out. Maybe it's going to Encore my Venusaur into Leech Seed as well. That would also make sense. You know what? I'm fine if it goes for the Encore because I'm protecting this turn. I burn a turn of Tailwind, and I can get my Suicune in safely and Scald or really Tailwind. So Gengar's gonna switch out first here, indicating to me that Whimsicott and Heatran did not switch out, of course, based off speeds. Since Whimsicott does outspeed me right now, given Tailwind. So Venusaur's gonna protect here because it does not want to take any of that Heat Wave damage. Yep, Whimsicott does go for that Encore into Venusaur, and Heatran just goes for the Heat Wave. Good play, but I'm fine with that. That Suicune's gonna take that attack like a champ. So this Heatran has leftovers, which is obviously annoying, but that's fine. I can continue to steal its HP away here. And what I can actually do right now is switch my Venusaur, out into Terrakion, which is what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna Scald the Heatran here. I don't want to Tailwind with Suicune because Whimsicott can just lock me into Tailwind, and it's never fun getting Encored into any move. Which is why Encore is such a fantastic move in VGC. You know, when you play against Pokemon like Whimsicott and Liepard, you should really expect it because, you know, if you fall victim to it, it can really be good against you. So I'm switching out Venusaur here into Terrakion, because Heatran, you know, here might want to switch out, might also want to just launch a Heat Wave. Though in retrospect, I think it makes more sense for it to switch out. I still don't want to get Encored by the Whimsicott, which is why I'm switching out with my own Venusaur. So Heatran does pull out that switch as expected. Let's see what comes in here. I'd expect Gyarados, but it's actually going to be Thundurus, which I'm alright with because Terrakion matches up with it pretty well, though might be like Specs Thundurus, which could be a problem. So let's see. Yep, it does go for that Encore, and it fails, as we can successfully get Scald off, which is great. Does a nice amount of damage there. Now the thing is, I can't just Protect with Terrakion, because if I do, then it can just Encore me. So what I'm gonna do is just Rock Slide, and Venusaur is still the key to this game. So I'm gonna actually switch back out into Venusaur, which can take a Thunderbolt from the Thundurus. I guess I could have played a bit safer there by switching out Terrakion. I don't know. Actually, I think my opponent, the right play for my opponent here, in my opinion, would to be to T-Bolt Terrakion. Or maybe, like I said, I don't know the item of it, which is the biggest concern. Might be Spexed, might be Life Orb, might be Expert Belted, might be, I don't know, Citrus Berried, might be Scarfed, which is actually one of my favorite items on Thundurus T. Of course, not as common as Thundurus Incarnate form, but I'm going to bring in Venusaur, which matches up so far pretty well. T-Ball. Oh, nice! Going into Venusaur. That's perfect. Hopefully no paralysis here. The Giga Drain comes out. Ooh, targeting Venusaur. Nice! So my opponent expecting the Protect from Terrakion, but no Protect coming out because, obviously I don't want my opponent to lock myself into Protect. So I'm going to get that Rock Slide off, picking up the KO on Thundurus, and doing a reasonable amount of damage there to Venusaur. Not Venusaur. Whimsicott. As I also style out the Tailwind, which is really, really good. So I'm feeling really good about my position right now. You know, I just stalled out Tailwind, did a ton of damage. None of my team members took too much damage, so feeling solid right now. But let's see what comes in from my opponent here. But yeah, that was a pretty crucial play. I feel like targeting into the Terrakion with T-Bolt Giga Drain makes more sense because if I were to Protect there, my opponent's Whimsicott could just Encore me the following turn, which is why I think Encore is such a deadly move. You can really, you know, cater to it by playing smartly. But you know what? After I went for the Rock Slide, I realized, you know, if my opponent's... The way I would play that turn was doubling into the Terrakion, especially given that Whimsicott had Giga Drain, which was not the move I was expecting here. But Gyarados is going to be my opponent's last one, which I'm pretty pleased about because Venusaur matches up with it pretty darn well. So let's see. I think I want to... I could just Rock Slide here, but I don't want to. I think I'm going to switch out into Gengar. Okay, I'm going to Sludge Bomb the Whimsicott for sure. The question is what do I do with Terrakion? I think it's better to conserve it. Yeah, Terrakion is important because you can one-hit KO the Heatran as well. So I'm going to conserve it here and try to knock out the Whimsicott. And I feel like there's not much that can go wrong this turn. Whimsicott goes for another Tailwind of its own. That is fine because once my Suicune comes in, it can set up a Tailwind for itself. This Gyarados also goes for the Dragon Dance. Very nice. Very nice. there's any way my opponent can get back into this game, it's definitely through those moves. As Venusaur gets the Sludge Bomb off, but Leech Seed might have been a better move there. However, I did not want to get locked into the Leech Seed, which is why I decided it was finally time to take care of that Whimsicott. So I'm up 4-2 right now, but my opponent has 3 turns of Tailwind, which is obviously slightly problematic, as Heatran does come in for free here. However, the main thing is, if that is Mega Gyarados, which is what I'm expecting, my opponent can't just freely Earthquake, because there's a Heatran out on the field as well. So what I'm going to do here is actually Will-O-Wisp the Gyarados and Leech Seed it. If I can get the burn off onto it, then Terrakion basically seals up the game. But let's see. You know, solid first couple turns here. Have not really taken much damage at all, but my opponent can definitely still pull out, especially after that Dragon Dance with Gyarados, which is definitely, you know, the one move that gives him even an opportunity to win this game. If it were a normal Gyarados, then Venusaur basically closes it out by itself, but we'll see how this plays out. Oh, Gyarados going straight for the Waterfall into Gengar. That's not going to be good news for my opponent, because it means I'm going to get a Leech Seed off against this Gyarados, which is huge. And Gengar avoids. Oh, wow, I have to apologize to my opponent about that one. The double avoid there, making things like 20 times easier. Yeah, so that's really going to effectively close the game up. You know, I was perfectly fine with both of my Pokemon taking damage there. Because I know Venusaur can take a Heat Wave, especially with Thick Fat, and I know that after the Leech Seed recovery, I can take yet another, I know I can take another Heat Wave from the Heatran, but that is really unlucky for my opponent. I honestly feel like I had the game won regardless. I wasn't expecting to, you know, attack with Gengar there. Well, I mean, yeah, honestly, like, I know that Suicune and Venusaur seal up the game by itself, so I'm going to play it safe here, obviously protect with Venusaur. Yeah, I do have to apologize to my opponent. It's definitely demoralizing when you have a win condition and it slips away because of some poor luck. Great play by my opponent there, though, going for yet another Dragon Dance with that Gyarados, basically neutralizing the attack drop from Will-O-Wisp. But the main issue here for my opponent is that, oh my goodness, Gengar avoids another Heat Wave. Wow. Yeah. So, once again, apologies to my opponent. Like I said, I feel like basically my goal at this point of the game was, okay, Gyarados might get a Dragon Dance up, but the thing is Venusaur beats it, so all I have to do is Leech Seed and Giga Drain 2 turns to knock it out, and then Terrakion so we can beat the game. But now, you know, there's really no way for my opponent to win, so apologies about that, man. Definitely apologies. As Gyarados goes for the Waterfall here onto the Gengar. Going for that 100% accurate move. Finally knocking out Gengar, so Gengar's sticking around for way too long as Heatran gets the Heat Wave off. Full target this time around, 183 all the way down to 103, so only does 80 damage, even a single target Heat Wave, which is why I went for that Leech Seed play earlier on. So yeah, I feel like Mega Venusaur, and then, you know, having Suicune in the back was enough to really overwhelm my opponent, but, you know, I never like to win like that. That's a pretty lame way to win through all these misses and whatnot. You know, Pokemon's a luck-based game, but I really like it when you have all these games that don't have any luck involved, and it just is a lot of, you know, predictions and whatnot. And I felt like for the first beginning of the game, it really was like that, but, unfortunate rolls for my opponent here to really seal up the game. Like I said, I really wasn't too worried, given that I had almost full HP with all my Pokemon. The Dragon Dance was definitely scary, because it meant that my opponent's Gyarados could outspeed my Terrakion, but all I would have to do is bring in Suicune and Venusaur, and target down the Gyarados with Giga Drain and Ice Beams, and then I had the Leech Seed off as well, so... pretty much going to be game here, as I can just Scald, Giga Drain, and Leech Seed recovery, as my opponent's going to forfeit. So I'm going to end up winning this game. Once again, apologies to Saba for... that unfortunate Heat Wave miss. Three misses in a row, definitely unfortunate. But the last 2 days have really just been featuring like Pokemon at its finest with all these misses and whatnot. But yeah, as you know, we're gonna take a win and just jump into the next battle of the day. So let's go for it. 1835 now, so a win here most likely will put us back over the 1850s, which is great. Yeah, definitely a couple, a rough span for sure. You know, so we have a couple great wins and then a couple great losses, so it's up and down for sure. As we're going to find a Korean opponent from South Korea, obviously, with a rating of 1747 for our second opponent of the day. Wow, interesting team here. Whimsicott, Terrakion, Charizard, so lots of Charizards the last couple days. Rhythm Heat, Sylveon, and Swampert. So, first of all, immediately, Charizard, probably the Mega Evolution, though, I mean, Charizard, definitely. It's so rare to see normal Charizard. Though Swampert could be Mega Evolution as well. Venusaur here, definitely fantastic for the match. Very, very good, actually. I'm going to lead straight off with it. I think Venusaur and Terrakion is the lead I want to go with here, but then if my opponent leads Terracotta, which is Whimsicott Terrakion, of course, I kind of also want to lead with Suicune to try to set up a Tailwind of my own. Let's see. Most important thing in this match is definitely conserving the Venusaur appropriately, though. You know what? I'm actually just going to go with Terrakion. Yeah. That's fine. Who do I want in the back? I think Heatran here for the Rotom Heat. Basically everything but the Terrakion and the Swampert is good. For the last one, it's really between Bisharp and Suicune. I kind of like Bisharp more here. Suicune's nice to set up Tailwind, but doesn't get much damage off against anything but, I guess, the Terrakion, which you could Scald. You can also Tailwind, but Whimsicott could just Encore it, so I'm not going to keep it in this. I'm not going to bring it in this match. We'll see how this plays out. So, yeah, I'm just going to jump into it. The Swampert is definitely one of the more interesting things on my opponent's team. You know, I've mentioned Angel Miranda multiple times in this series. Of course, a very good friend of mine. He used normal Swampert in the beginning of the season, support special Swampert, actually. We see Whimsicott Charizard coming out from my opponent's end, though. This is pretty ideal for me as I lead with Venusaur and Terrakion. Though, you know, my opponent here is definitely just going to go for the turn 1 Tailwind and the Protect with Charizard. That's what I'm expecting, at least. So, what I don't want to do right now is give my opponent a free switch into whatever he has in the back. So, I don't actually want to knock out Whimsicott here because it's most definitely Focus Sashed. So I'm going to Mega Evolve. What I'm actually going to do is Leech Seed Charizard, knowing it's probably going to Protect. And I'm going to go for the Rock Slide here. Yeah. So, you know, you're probably wondering, why in the world would you not KO Whimsicott here? Well, the main thing is, Whimsicott's not a huge offensive threat. I feel like this is funny because we actually saw Whimsicott featured the other day. Venusaur Mega Evolves first here, which indicates to me Charizard did not Mega Evolve this turn, which also tells me it probably protected this turn. Let's see, though. Maybe it's just slower, but nope, it does not. Oh, wow. Okay, the double Protect coming out there. I don't agree with that play from my opponent's end. Because now I can just Rock Slide. Though I could have anticipated a Protect or went for the Sludge Bomb instead of the Leech Seed there, just because the Whimsicott can actually Encore me into the Leech Seed now. But I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna go for the Giga Drain, just because Giga Drain does tons of damage to all my opponent's entire team and Rock Slide here. If my opponent does not Encore Venusaur, of course Charizard's gonna switch out here because it's just gonna feign to a Rock Slide. I'd expect Terrakion or Swampert to come in here. It is that Swampert. Wow. Huh, this is one interesting game. So I get the Rock Slide off, but I Giga Drain that Swampert slot, knowing that Terrakion or Swampert was probably going to come in, which is going to be huge. Probably going to pick up the knockout here, hopefully. That's going to be the KO. Perfect. Critical hit, actually, so obviously that didn't matter, but that's great. Swampert is a very annoying Pokemon to deal with, because normally there aren't many great ways to hit it for super effective damage, but I am going to be able to pick up the knockout there, which is great, as Charizard's going to come back in here. And this is fantastic now because Heatran really loves this matchup. So what I'm going to do is just directly Sludge Bomb the Whimsicott, and I'm going to switch into Heatran, trying to bait out a Giga Drain Heat Wave. Yeah, I wasn't expecting Giga Drain from Whimsicott. I feel like Whimsicotts nowadays are so much more offensively built as opposed to VGC 2011, where they really had no offense whatsoever. But the Fairy typing definitely helps out a bit here as well. So I'm going to bring in Heatran just because Heatran is really good against Charizard and Whimsicott. The question here is whether Whimsicott Encores or goes for the Tailwind. Charizard's going to Mega Evolve here. Also, the question here is whether it goes for the Heat Wave or the Overheat onto Venusaur. Because if it goes for the Overheat, it should not KO, and I should knock out the Whimsicott. Which would mean I'm facing a -2 Charizard. But perfect, as we see the Energy Ball coming out into Heatran. That is as good of a turn as I'll get. Critical hit still does so little damage. As Charizard goes for the Overheat, I don't think it should knock out my Venusaur. I am really bulky, and of course I have a... Yep, perfect. I am able to hang on with 13 HP. As I get the Sludge Bomb off against Whimsicott. This game has been playing out pretty perfectly. been going by really quickly, but nailing the Swampert switch in was fantastic for me there. And I pick up the knockout there against Whimsicott as well. And that Charizard is at -2 special attack now, so definitely got to be feeling good about my position. Though Terrakion, if it is my opponent's last one, can still give me a lot of trouble. But it's going to be Rotom, that's going to be game. Perfect. Because now my own Heatran basically wins. Yep. I'll just sack the Venusaur here so I get the free switch into Terrakion, and then I can just Rock Slide Heat Wave away. So yeah, had Overheat actually KO'd Venusaur there, I might have been in a pickle, just because then the Whimsicott could still outspeed and KO my Terrakion with a Giga Drain. But as we see the Charizard going for the Heat Wave, okay. But yeah, like I said, my Venusaur is so specially defensive, or just defensive in general, and I do Eevee to survive that attack. So we do see the T-Bolt coming out here, but I'm going to be able to hang on with both Pokemon. So now I just get a free switch into Terrakion. So yeah, not much more to say. Hopefully I can connect with my Rock Slides here. Still got to hit my attacks to win this game, but I'm going to Rock Slide, and I'm actually going to substitute here with Heatran, predicting the Charizard to protect. I mean, Charizard's basically dead weight at this point. So I'm going to Rock Slide. You know, if Charizard doesn't protect, it gets knocked out. If it does protect, then that's fine. I get a Rock Slide off against Rotom, which is definitely going to want to T-Bolt Terrakion, and I get a free sub up with Heatran. Smarter play here might have actually been to protect with my own Terrakion to bait out the protect from my opponents. But nope, no protects coming out, so Rock Slide's going to connect with both Fire-type Pokemon here. Super effective against both, knocking out Charizard. And doing so much damage to that Rotom Heat, so great for me here as Heatran also outspeeds Rotom Heat and gets the substitute up. So let's see. T-Bolt into a Terrakion. But now it's Bisharp and Heatran behind a sub against the two Fire types. So yeah, one of the reasons why I brought Heatran when I saw my opponent's team in team preview was because I knew he had the Charizard, the Rotom Heat, the Sylveon, the Whimsicott, and I said, hey, if I can knock out Terrakion or Swampert, then Heatran basically wins the game. So I was kind of scared for my opponent having Terrakion in the back, because if my opponent managed to win a speed tie, my opponent actually could have ended up winning the game. It would have been close, definitely would have been close, but when I saw that Rotom Heat, I was obviously ecstatic. So now I'm just going to knock off Heat Wave, and that's going to be a good game. As Heat Wave, single target here, also boosted by the sun. Let's see how much damage it does to this Rotom Heat. Picks up the KO. So, nice way to bounce back from yesterday's episode after two really demoralizing losses because they were so close. You know, it was literally like if I made the right play one turn, I would have ended up winning. And those losses are always frustrating, but gonna be able to take two pretty convincing wins in today's episode, which is really fantastic. So it's definitely a lot of fun and nice way to really recover from yesterday's episode. So really exciting games. Honestly, it's crazy. We've been featuring a lot of new Pokemon in Road to Ranked, and it's nice to see, you know, all these higher ranked opponents have, you know, these cool teams. And I'm just looking back at the last, you know, 2 episodes. We had Arcanine, we had Liepard and Raikou, we had Whimsicott, Thundurus T, and today we had Whimsicott, Thundurus T, and then now Whimsicott and Swampert. But yeah, I feel like getting the Giga Drain onto my opponent's Swampert there was really, really big. So, gonna be able to pick up 2 wins in today's episode after 2 losses in yesterday's, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Of course, Pokemon will be streaming the Top Cut at St. Louis Regionals tomorrow at twitch.tv/Pokemon. You're definitely going to want to tune into that because it's going to have some huge high-level play there. I'm really hoping I can be in the Top Cut, hoping I can play on stream. By the time this video is live, I'll actually probably post a message on YouTube letting you guys know how I did, but we'll see how that goes. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you tomorrow. But don't forget to check the stream at twitch.tv/Pokemon. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you next time. Alright, peace.